And we are live, I think. Let me hit refresh over here. This is the first live stream I've ever done on my Facebook page. So come on. Are we live? Are we live? I see it. Justin's live now, and I can hear myself. So I'm officially live. What is up? My name is Justin Glover. Welcome to this live stream this morning. I had the privilege of learning from a couple of different entrepreneurs who have built 8-figure companies. During this little interaction that I got to witness, my definition for the word delegation went to an entirely new level. So I'm going to share some key insights from that with you. It's going to be a pretty quick live stream broadcast. I'm going to share something that I learned from this experience this morning. And I'm also going to give you a single question that I asked myself that you can ask yourself. And it was a game changer for me. It immediately gave me a different perspective on business growth. And so if your desired objective is business growth, if you're in business and your desired objective is to grow it, then stay tuned, because that's what we are going to get into. So I can see a couple people popping on. I cannot see the names of the people though. So let me know, drop me a comment, let me know, give me a hashtag live, or say what's up, or give me your favorite emoji or something. Let me know that you're here so I can see you and shout you out. I'm going to get into the content because this is going to be fairly brief. Like I said, this is my very first live stream here. Not my first live stream ever. I've done a live stream or two in my day. I do them I do them every day in a team group that I have, and I do them 2 or 3 times a week on my public profile. But this is the first one that I've ever done on my business, not on my public page, my Facebook page, not my profile. My profile is maxed at 5,000 friends. I'm always having to, unfriend batches of people that I don't know, just so I can free up room to bring more on. And so that is why I'm here live, because my fan page holds more people. And so I wanted to just give some value to you folks as well, because I love you just all the same. All right, so let's go. Like I said, this morning I participated in a group ultra reading session, and I had a bit of a breakthrough, and that's what I'm going to share in the next couple of minutes. And so first, what I want to do is explain what ultra reading is, for those of you that are watching this that may not know. Then I'm going to give you a key insight that I had from my morning ultra read session. And then I'm going to give you that single question that you can ask yourself. But first, before I do any of that, I'm going to turn this dinger off of my phone so I'm not distracted anymore. What is ultra reading? Well, ultra reading is a process that I learned from one of my greatest mentors, a guy named Mark Hoverson. He taught me the process, and it's essentially a process that you can use to reactivate old books. That's how I was introduced to it. You got old books laying around that you haven't finished, or that you're just not getting much value from. You can ultra read them and immediately start pulling nuggets of wisdom out of them, reactivate them, find the value in them. And so it's just a cool little way to get some value from the books that are there, because books are the distilled knowledge and wisdom from oftentimes a life's work from somebody. They work for years and years, or their entire lives, to put the wisdom in that they've learned from that work into a book. And so we get to pick from that, which is kind of cool. But when was the last time that you sat down and read a book cover to cover? Some of you that are watching this, maybe it was yesterday. All right. Some of you may read a book a week, but then others, I know that there's others out there that haven't read a full book since high school. And so ultra reading is a great practice that I use to just fire up my mind. It lights my mind up every morning. It stimulates me, and it just gives me some good, solid ideas. And I walk away from a 10-minute session, ultra read session. I walk away with 4 or 5 good practical ideas that I can immediately implement into my life and my business and enrich them. All right. And so ultra reading, what it is, here's how it works. The very first step 1 in ultra reading, is you find a book. And ideally you want to find a how-to style of book, entrepreneurial or how-to. So the book that I'm going to use as the example is the one that I was reading this morning. It's a book called Clockwork. All right. Design your business to run itself. All right. A guy named Mike last name I can't pronounce. And so that's the book that I was reading. Let me just grab one quick drink of water. I can feel the dry mouth coming on as I talk. And so you take a book, that's step one. And before you even start to before you even crack it open, you read the title. And from this title, so this one is Design Your Business to Run Itself. That's the promise of this book. Every how-to success book has a promise from the title. Most of the time you can get the promise just from reading the title. All right, you know what the promise of the book is. If you don't know it, they didn't write a great title, maybe read the back cover and you can find it. And so the promise of this book is to design a business to run itself. And so the very first thing that you do is you imagine yourself having a conversation with the author, the author is right there in front of you, and he is directly teaching you, he or she is directly teaching you the concepts in this book. And as a result of that conversation, you're going to fully embody and fully experience the full manifestation of the promise of this book. That's kind of what the objective is here. And so you're looking at the title, and so you imagine, if you're also reading this book, you imagine you have a business that is completely running itself. You could leave for months or weeks or years and come back to a business that's actually growing because it's fully automated, it's fully running itself, and you only do these XYZ things that you want to do, right? So you imagine yourself fully realizing the promise of the book. That's step one before you ever even open the thing. And then what you do is you find yourself a little timer, just so happen to have one sitting right here, a little kitchen timer, or we all have one of these cell phones, you got timers on there. And so you set a 2-minute timer, all right, for 2 minutes, that's it. And for 2 minutes, then once you hit go on the timer, you open it up, and you can do it one of a couple ways, all right? The way that I usually do it is I'll just open it up and I'll literally just kind of fan through, and I'm looking for big bold headlines, and I just read them. And I'll flip through until I see one that's compelling and it catches me. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And I dive right in. I just start reading and pick up right there. Another way to do it is you can open up, you can start at the front, at the table of contents, and you can just skim through right there and say, which chapter do I want to start with, all right? The chapter titles are usually outlined. You can kind of pick up what the topic is going to be. All right, so that's step two, is just kind of open up and just dive in, all right? And you give yourself 2 minutes of reading, literally just fully focused 2 minutes of reading. And when the timer goes off after 2 minutes, then you're done. And the idea is to take this reading session and think about it, look at it through the lens of what are your immediate takeaways and how can you immediately implement something that you read? How can you implement something from that into your existing life and or business and enrich it and make it better? All right, and so that's the idea, that's the concept behind ultra reading. And so this morning I did myself a little ultra reading session. Now I do mine a little bit different. I do a 10-minute ultra reading session each day. And so, but the way that I do it is I take 5 books. I take this book, and I take another book over here, and then a third book. And so I got books freaking laying around everywhere. And so you take 5 books. That's what I do. I take 5 books and I set the 2-minute timer, and I dip into one book for 2 minutes. And I read and I pull a nugget or 2. And then when the timer goes off, I hit repeat, and then I pick up the next book. It's running for 2 minutes, and I just dip into the second book for 2 more minutes. And then I pick up when the timer goes off, and I immediately set it down, and I dip into the third book for 2 more minutes. And so I repeat this process over a period of 10 total minutes. And after 10 minutes, I've got 5 little 2-minute sections that I've read inside of each of these 5 different books. And so you might pull, a little marketing tip from one book, or a customer service idea from another book, or a systems tip or something, way that you can improve a systems for your daily routine from another book or whatever. All right, so that's how I feed my mind. And I do this. This is the last thing that I do every morning in preparation of me going out into the marketplace, because I'm an entrepreneur. My paycheck, the money that I make, it's got direct proportion of the amount of value that I put out into the world. And so my work is I create stuff and I put it out into the world, like these live videos and content and other valuable ad stuff that you guys find valuable. And so if I fill my mind up before I come to the marketplace, I'm going to do a lot better job when I get to the marketplace. And so that's my idea. That's how I use it. And every morning, that's the last thing that I do before I actually come to the marketplace. Anyway, let me get into my insights from this morning and give you what I promised. I'm already at 10 minutes here. Wow. All right. So that is ultra reading. Now you know. I strongly suggest to give it a try. It'll light your mind on fire in the morning. It's just a great process and a great practice to do. So I'm going to give you insights from my 2-minute ultra read, because this morning I was also invited, in addition to my normal ultra reading practice, I was also invited to participate in a group ultra reading session, but it was done through like video in a Facebook group. And I was able to actually read. I was reading this book, and I was able to read part of a conversation that the author of the book and another business owner, right, the founder of Infinitus, I don't even know how to pronounce it, marketing and technology, a guy named Scott Oldford, massive company. This guy that runs Clockwork, he's got a big company. And so these are two guys that are very successful. They built successful companies. I get to listen to a real conversation that they're having that's documented in this book. And so the other guy, not the guy that wrote the book, but the other guy, he says the biggest problem, all right, part of this conversation, this is what I wrote down. He said the biggest problem is that no one has taught entrepreneurs the mindset of delegating. It's not that they don't know that they need to delegate, they just need to get in the mindset of letting go. Then when they are committed to letting go, then they just need to do it the right way. And so he then goes on to explain and break down that delegating is a process, and he breaks down the process. And this is what kind of blew my mind. He said, all right, so delegation is not just give somebody the tasks to do. All right, delegation is a process. First, you assign the task, then you assign the responsibility, then you ask them to own the results, and finally you ask them to own the outcome, which is repeated results over time. All right, and so he broke it down and explained this process. And honestly, seeing it broken down this way for me caused me to ask a very cool question that provided a lot of clarity almost instantly, and that was, what could we accomplish in our company if our staff was not focused on just completing a list of tasks, but they were rather focused on delivering outcomes for our company? And when I asked that question and I started thinking about the answer, I thought, wow, the answer is a lot. We could accomplish a lot if we did this, if we just changed that focus. All right, get our staff focused on outcomes that we want instead of just doing a list of tasks every day. And so my question is for you, I'm going to extend that question to you. What could you accomplish in your business if your staff was not focused on completing tasks? Instead, they were focused on taking ownership and completing outcomes for you and your company. It's a game-changing question. It absolutely is. And so if you don't have staff yet, you're watching this, you're like, I don't even have staff yet. So how does this apply to me? You likely will at some point, all right, one day. And so this is going to save you tons of time when that day comes. You know this going into it. I wish I would have known it before I started talking to staff and having staff and, you know, building teams and getting myself into situations where I was just deciding every day. Like I had this long list of tasks, and they would go do the tasks, and then when they get done, they would come to me because they needed a decision. They weren't taking ownership. And they would come to me, you know, I've done that, what's next? They would come to me, I've done that, what's next? And it was constantly taking up more and more and more of my time. If I'd have known this before, I would have saved myself a ton of time. And so here's how I'm implementing this myself. All right, so for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go back and I'm going to look at all the tasks that we have signed out to people on our staff, and I'm going to consider the desired outcomes and say, why did we assign this task? What's the outcome that we're really looking to create that caused us to assign this task? And we're going to identify those outcomes, all right, those desired outcomes that we're looking for those tasks to ultimately produce. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I have clearly communicated that desired outcome to the staff members that are doing those tasks. And if it hasn't been clearly communicated at that point, then that's when I'm going to do it. And if it has, then okay, I'm just verifying. But then I'm going to take it a step further and empower them to take full responsibility for that outcome and own the results. All right. I'm almost certain that's what I'm going to do. And I'm almost certain that if I do this, it will immediately reduce the number of decisions that I have to make for staff. And so if you have staff, I would suggest doing this as well, or maybe giving it a try. I do a 10-minute ultra reading session every morning. Like I said, I do the 5 minutes. I find myself teaching on and pulling from these ultra reading sessions. I take, I'll walk away from a 10-minute session and have 4 or 5 new little nuggets. And then during the day, I'm having conversations, and I just find myself in situations where I can draw from that knowledge that I gained in that morning ultra read. And it just creates amazing value, and it just complements the value that I'm putting out to the world. So I am looking forward to sharing more of these insights with you here on this page in the form of more of these live streams, but only if you guys find them valuable. Now, I know my engagement on this page prior to doing these live streams has been very low. I'm going to do a little bit of marketing to this page, see if we can increase that. But regardless, if you do find this valuable, if you've watched up until this point and you found some value here today, let me know. Drop me a heart, drop me a comment. Let me know that you got some value. And as long as you're getting value, I'll keep showing up. I'll keep going live here on this page as well. Oh, and if you'd like to go a little bit farther, a little bit deeper on the topic of vision and crafting a future result, then I've got a completely free 24-minute video training that I've pulled directly from one of our paid programs, where we go super deep on the topic of vision. And so if you'd like me to send that over to you, that free training, no strings attached, just reach out to me. Let me know that you'd like it. Say, hey, send me the free vision training. And/or just drop a comment below, all caps, the word vision, and either myself or somebody on the team will send it right over. That being said, thank you so much for hanging out and watching. I appreciate you more than you know. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.